It's cold up here.
The wind comes through those courts. What I don't get is exactly where did they land the ships in Scotland?
At the edge of the Antrim coast, where the Atlantic hurls itself endlessly against the black basalt cliffs, Dunluce Castle clings to the rock like a memory that refuses to fade. Travelers often say it looks as though it grew out of the stone itself, an ancient crown set upon a rugged cliff. Long ago, the McQuillians built the first stronghold here, but it was the MacDonalds who turned Dunluce into a seat of power. Under Sorley Boy MacDonald, the castle became a symbol of resilience, battered, besieged, but never surrendered. Even now, when the wind whistles through the empty windows, it's easy to imagine the clang of steel and the shouts of the guards and the flicker of torches along the battlements. Dunluce Castle's story begins in the 13th century, when Richard, the second Earl of Ulster, built the first fortification on the dramatic basalt cliffs of County Antrim. By 1513, Duluth was firmly in the hands of the McQuillan families, lords of the route who expanded the stronghold with large drum towers and fortified walls. Under Sorley Boy MacDonald, Duluth grew into a major seat of power. He enforced the castle in a Scottish style and established its first center of the MacDonald's influence in the region. In the early 1600s, Sorley Boy's son, Randall MacDonald, later the first Earl of Antrim, transferred Duluth into a grand residence. He even founded a planned settlement called Duluth Town around 1608, featuring a grid laid out and an unusual advance of amenities such as early indoor toilets. However, the castle's fortunes declined after the Battle of the Boyne in 1690. When the MacDonald family's wealth and influence waned, Duluth was gradually abandoned, its buildings left to deteriorate, parts of the structure collapsed into the sea, and the stones were scavenged for other construction. There's a story, half legend, half warning, about the castle's kitchen. One stormy night in the 1600s, part of the cliff gave way, sending the kitchen and its staff tumbling into the sea. Only one single scullery boy survived. Whether the tale is true hardly matters. Standing there today, looking down at the sheer drop, you understand why the story endures. Carrickfergus Castle stood long before the town around it found its shape. It rose from the black basalt rock at the edge of the Belfast Lough, its foundations gripping the earth as it determined never to be moved. The seawall washed against its base, sometimes gentle, sometimes furious, but always returning, as though acknowledging an ancient pact between water and stone. Seasons passed, and the castle walls thickened with purpose. The clang of iron, the thud of timber, the grind of stone on stone shaped its towers. It became a guardian of the coastline, a marker for travelers, a warning for those who approached with ill intent. The sea winds scoured its battlements, carving stories into its mortar. Then came the centuries of conflict. The castle endured a roar of cannon fire. The shudder of impact of iron balls struck its walls. Smoke drifted across the loch, mingling with the salt air. Flags rose and fell from its towers, each one claiming domination for a time. Yet the castle remained unchanged. Its loyalty to the land, to the loch, to the endurance itself. Carrickfergus Castle began in 1177 when John de Courcy seized the eastern Ulster and established a fortress as his power base. This structure was compacted with an inner ward with a high curtain wall and a great hall. Built on a rocky promontory, almost entirely surrounded by the sea, an ideal defensive position. After de Courcy was ousted in 1204, Hugh de Lacy expanded the castle and added its stronger gatehouses. Following the collapse of the earldom of Ulster in 1333, Carrickfergus became a principal English stronghold in Northern Ireland. It was repeatedly attacked or occupied by rival factors, including Scottish forces during Edward Bruce's invasion in the early 1300s. Carrickfergus played a major role in several major conflicts. 9 Years' War, 1590s. The castle housed a large English garrison and saw battle in 1597. The Willamette War, 1689 to 1691, besieged and captured by Marshal Stromberg. In 1689, King William III landed at Carrickfergus in 1690 before marching south. The French raid in 1760, French forces under Francois Thurat briefly captured and looted the castle. The American War of Independence, 1778, a naval skirmish involving John Paul Jones occurred nearby. By the late 1700s, the castle served as a prison and later a military stronghold during the Napoleonic Wars. In the 20th century, it was used as an ordnance store in World War I and an air raid shelter in World War II. In 1928, after roughly 750 years of continuous military use, the castle was transferred to the government of Northern Ireland. Restoration efforts removed later additions to and returned it to more medieval appearance. Today, Carrickfergus Castle is one of the best preserved Norman castles in Ireland. Maintained as a state historic monument and open to the public, its walls still bear the marks of centuries of conflict, marking a rare surviving witness to nearly every major phase of Irish medieval and early modern history.